What is going on, everybody? Hopefully you're all having a fantastic day whenever you're seeing this video. In this video, we're gonna be talking about how you can go about setting up your TradingView, right? And for those of you guys that are brand new, okay, this is gonna be a perfect video to get your TradingView looking super clean. And basically, I'm just gonna share with you guys what I like to go about using in terms of settings and also in terms of tools on the actual TradingView platform. At the time of this recording, there is the Black Friday sale going on. And one of the questions that I get actually quite frequently is how can I go about saving money buying the paid versions of TradingView, right? And my suggestion to everybody is to wait until Black Friday sale or the Boxing Day sale at the end of the year. Okay, now when you guys go ahead and click on the TradingView link, right, the first one that comes up should take you to a page that looks fairly similar to the one that we have on screen. You're gonna go ahead and click chart, and by default, this is what your chart is going to look like. First things first, before we go about formatting this to make it look a little bit better, right hand side here, you guys will see that we have the watch list. And what you're going to want to do is just go through this entire list and clear it out. And we're going to go ahead and actually add in all of the currency pairs, all the assets, all of the stock indexes or indices that we actually like to trade. But go ahead and just spam X on all of these, right? And what I like to do is just drag this panel to the to the downside. I don't really pay attention to that too much. Now we have a blank watch list, so you can go ahead and actually input any sort of currency pairs or any sort of assets that you like to trade. Usually what I encourage students to do is just literally go ahead and add all the currency pairs, just in the event that there's a trade idea or a signal that is called out in one of the group chats, and you want to basically go ahead and actually just confirm that that's a trade that you want to take. So what I like to do is add all of my currency pairs in alphabetical order, right? So I'll start with something like AUD CAD, go on to AUD CHF, and then basically just go through the list in alphabetical order. Now when I type in AUD CAD here, right, and that's me after having pressed the little plus sign over here, you'll notice that there's multiple AUD CADs that are showing up. Okay, over here on the right hand side, these are different brokers. Each broker is going to have a slightly different price from one another. And the best analogy I can use for this is think about gas stations. Think about any sort of gas stations you have locally, right? There's different gas stations with different prices, but they're usually relatively similar, right? And it's the same idea within the foreign exchange market. So what I like to do is go off the FXCM data. And if I just go ahead and press this, right, it's going to actually, get me to sign in. So first things first, right? What I like to always say to people is, decide whether or not you want to have the light theme of TradingView, right? So with kind of like the white, light background, or the dark theme. And the dark theme you can find over here. You can literally just go ahead and toggle this on and off according to how you like it. Pull up the chart settings. You can either right click and go to settings, or look in the top right corner of the screen here. And what I'm gonna do is basically get rid of vertical grid lines. Personally, I don't like to use vertical grid lines. I find that they just get in the way. We can toggle the opacity of them. I just go to 0 so that it's completely removed. And for the horizontal grid lines, what I like to do is, have them actually as the color black. And then I change the background. And now they came out with gradient, by the way, which is pretty cool. I like to go solid, and I'll make it like a gray. So usually it'll look, something like this, a subtle gray. And then I'll make the opacity of the horizontal grid lines a little bit darker. Now it's going to be easier to see the numbers on the side here in a second. We'll go back into settings, scale text, just make that black. Scale lines, you'll want to make black as well. I like to make these solid so that they're easy to see. And now we've got that set up. Candle colors, this is something that you can go ahead and actually mess around with and find what you like. Personally, what I like to do is use a kind of a turquoise, and then I'll have a black border. So this is what my chart will typically look like. Okay, and you guys can again kind of mess around with this in the symbol area of the chart settings. Okay, aside from that, if you guys have the events down here, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but these are like news events. I like to remove those. So you're gonna find that under the events here, and I literally just turn all of this off. and now it's gone. So it's a nice clean chart that we're looking at. And you guys will notice that I have this right here, and this is the toolbar. Now the toolbar, these are all tools that I personally love to use when it comes to actually doing training calls, but also just in general when it comes to marking up a chart. So over here on the left hand side, this is what I like to use, dot, and this is basically just going to choose what your cursor looks like. I like to use the dot. I click the little star, and that's what made it show up in the favorites bar, and that's what you're going to do for all of these different tools. If we transition here to the trend line tools, I have the trend line starred, horizontal line, horizontal ray, arrow, and parallel channel. And here's a little trick, guys, okay? When it comes to placing something like a trend line, which you're gonna have to mess around with the colors, they probably won't look like this right away. You can literally just double click and go to style, change the color of the line, and also the, what it actually looks like. And the thickness is something you can mess around with as well. So I have it on the second thickness, and, just the color black. It's something that shows up nice and easy. But if you wanted to, for example, right, let's say I wanted to mark up this area of resistance here. Okay, instead of me, messing around to make this line perfectly straight, I'm not usually going to get it the first try. You're going to just go ahead and click shift on your keyboard, and it's going to snap it so that it's perfectly straight. Then you can do this on a diagonal as well, or directly, up and down. So that's a little trick there. When it comes to using something like the parallel channel, which again, you'll find in the trend line tools, I'll show you guys how to use this, right? Let's say I wanted to mark up this candlestick. I'm gonna click and hold down shift, tap once, drag it across, click again, and then just pull down, and it's going to give me a nice little channel here, and then I have to click to release it just like that. Okay, so that's a nice little way of marking up an area that will be permanently to the right of your screen. You will have to mess around with the settings a little bit. These are the settings that I like to use. Extend to the right permanently. The background I have as purple, and the border is black. Okay, arrow, again, you're gonna have to mess around with the color of that. I just have it, again, colored black, thickness on the second level. In terms of thickness, horizontal ray, this is something that you can also use to mark up institutional or FU candlesticks, which I promise you guys will come to better understand what those are in a future video. But that's it for the trend line tools. So I'll go ahead and just clear everything off the chart here. Next thing, you're going to go to Gann and Fibonacci tools, and fib retracement is a huge one. All right, so make sure you favorite this one. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just go ahead and go to some blank space. If ever you want to drag off the screen, all you're going to do is come over here to where it shows the actual prices, and you can actually tighten it together or expand it out. And if ever you mess up your chart, like if it looks like this, you can't really analyze that. So if ever you want to reset it, right click, reset charts right there. It's going to make it look nice again. But going to some blank space here, I'll even go full screen. Let me show y'all what my fib settings are. So this is the fib and what it looks like down here. You're going to click, drag, and click, and that's how you go about placing the fib tool. Take a screenshot of this. You guys can see the different levels here that I have included. And what I'll do is actually put up right beside it the actual settings. So I turn off the trend line. I find that to be a little bit annoying. It gets in the way in my opinion, but you can choose to keep it on if you like. I have all of these different levels on with the fib tool. We'll talk about the importance of each of these levels in a future video as well. Use one color. I did select initially black, and then I just changed the 618 level to red. You can do whatever you'd like there. Again, you guys can feel free to kind of use the same settings that I have if you'd like. Background is something that you guys are going to want to mess around with. I just turn it off completely because it looks kind of gross if you keep it on. Make sure that reverse is not selected, okay, because that's going to really mess with you if you have that selected. I have levels here as values. You can choose to have it as percentages as well. Totally up to you guys. I have it shown on the right hand side, and that is the fib tool. Okay, now if we come back over to the left, right now we have the geometric shapes. I've started the brush and the rectangle. brush is just perfect for, kind of drawing and, doodling on the chart. It's great for training, but it's also nice if you just want to like circle an area to keep in mind for yourself. And again, you can mess around with the colors as you wish, right? And then the rectangle, this is again something you'll want to mess around with color wise, but it's a great way to actually go about marking up points of interest. And last but not least, or actually, sorry, not last but not least, but we have the text tools. Okay, so you can start the text box and price label if you'd like. If I use price label here, let me just reset the chart. If I take the price label and I want to know what this price level was down here, you could just look to the right because it'll show you. But you could just go like that, boom, and now it's going to show you what that specific point in price actually was. Okay, but now for sure, last but not least, we have the prediction and measurement tools. So long position, this is what you're going to be using to kind of mark up your buys. Short position, this is what you're going to use to mark up your sells. And then price range is what's going to allow you to actually measure how significant a move was, right? And you'll look right here, this is the amount of pips. And then you obviously have percentage. You don't have to worry too much about that number to the left. Okay, I know I'm ripping through this pretty quickly, guys, so feel free to go back and watch certain parts of this video. But I do want to keep this relatively short. Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on just briefly is setting alerts. So you guys will see that there's a little orange arrow here, and I can actually go about extending this line. So this line we've got here, it's orange, okay, and that's an alert that's set at a specific price. If ever you're wanting to get notified of when price crosses a certain area, right? Like let's say I wanted to know when price gets above this high. Okay, I can right click on the chart and press add alert. Okay, and then you're just gonna go ahead and press create. And now as soon as price gets beyond this area where I have the alert, it's going to notify me and I'll get a notification to my app, but also on the TradingView website. So it's a super handy tool to, get familiar with in terms of adding alerts. Okay. And there goes one actually right now. Right. And the only other thing that I'll touch on briefly is your time frames and the actual, options you have for looking at charts. So up here, you'll probably just see candles, but you'll see a little arrow where it says bars style. Click that and you'll start candles and the line chart. The line chart is something that's great for looking at when it comes to market structure. Again, you'll learn more about that in a future video. And then the time frames, you guys will see that I have a bunch up here, but initially you'll only have a couple. Okay, so you can go ahead and basically just press the arrow, one that I just highlighted, and it'll show you a bunch of different options. Usually what I recommend for everybody to mark and kind of favorite is the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, and then daily, weekly, and monthly. The rest are up to you. You can kind of mess around with that as you please. You can actually have different templates for different tools. So let's say I was wanting to mark up, let me just go ahead and do this real quick. If you press this little pencil over here, it'll allow you to stay in the draw mode. So you can just continuously draw a certain tool. But let's say I had an area of, this is what we call consolidation, right? And I've marked it up like this. You can actually go ahead and create templates as you wish as well. So you can go save drawing template as, apply default template. But let's say I wanted to identify downside liquidity. It's going to put a little $ there. And this one I can, do upside liquidity. Those are a couple that I've saved, and it'll automatically put the $ there for me. So that's pretty cool. But aside from that, guys, that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over with regards to TradingView. There are more things that you can keep in mind that you can look into using the TradingView platform, but this is just something that's, very, very basic video, if you will, when it comes to actually setting up your TradingView. But aside from that, happy trading. This is Donnie Dropout signing off. See you guys in another video very, very soon. Much love.